But tell us some cool stories. Start from the top. Where did this all
So I
start?
mean, I mean, this is very commonly known. Like the word branding comes from the Norse brander, I think it's probably pronounced, and it basically means to burn. The note is like basically cattle was branded, as in like burnt with insignias. Slaves were burnt with the insignias, and so the concept of branding as a thing was like, this is an ownership thing. So I own this. This is mine, and this is my insignia. And so you see that as the startings of like what logo is, and branding of like the ownership of something. But then like insignias on rings, you know, like in the old school where they're like kings or whatever, or queens will put wax on a letter and then they'll brand it with their ring, and that's almost like their signature, insignia. And so that it would know when it gets to, you know, the other kingdom far, far away, they'll see that this letter hasn't been tampered with, that this is actually a royal signet. So you see that kind of things existed, and like royal households with like the arms, so the shield symbols that you get like ye olden. And so this idea of a logo, brand, you know, religious symbols, flags, this kind of sort of ownership or representation, almost like a prerequisite to like a passport, maybe a passport photo or something that says this is who I am, like a way to recognize. This has existed from like 2000 BC, right? So this idea of insignias, symbols that represent something, and other people would have to interpret what that means. But really, we start seeing branding evolving in the 1800s. So the people think from the 60s, Mad Men, everyone knows that from the TV show and whatnot. But the first, I mean, again, so you have the insignias is one part of history, right? They sit over there. In the 1800s, you have these guys known as the pitchmen who would get special favors from the British royal family to get patents to sell stuff in the New World. So this is selling stuff in America. So if you knew like the king or the queen, and you would be able to say, yeah, I want to sell something. So pitchmen is where we get the term pitching. And pitchmen were basically oil snake salesmen, where they'll go in there to try to sell these amazing concoctions to like the New World, which was America, which often didn't really work. So like I think you see Coca-Cola and Pepsi, you know, Coca-Cola was supposed to be a cure for headaches and to cure tiredness, because it had cocaine in it. So it kind of worked, but had a lot of side effects. And Pepsi was supposed to help cure like stomach upsets, because these were medicines. And you know, there's that, you know, I don't want to get into this because there's the politics of it. America's considered to be a very heavily medicated society. This may have been where it started, where people rely quite a lot on medication. Where compared, like Turkey's very similar as well in that respect. So this may have been like the early thing. So yeah, these people selling these things, sometimes really ridiculous. So on the on the actual article, there's like one says for toothache drops made from cocaine, and there's pictures of kids like foraging. So it's like it's cocaine tooth drops, which is like basically being shown like, you know, to kids. So you see this kind of the idea of selling as family products that could be used as a form of medication. Remember, this is of a time where people couldn't really validate stuff, and it's also of a time where people were disconnected, and so you've got the insignia stuff happening. You've got these pitchmen trying to sell ideas as a thing, and these are two things obviously we know in branding. But it wasn't until like also around this time you'd have product placement. Like there are Renaissance paintings with like beers in the actual painting as product placement, which are hilarious to see. So cocaine tooth drops.